Hello, I'm David DeCosmo for Electric City Television. For the past 9 years, I've been producing and co-anchoring our weekly public affairs program. We've called it ECTV Live. Now, as the next decade begins, a few changes are in store. First of all, we'll have new studios and new equipment. Secondly, we'll be changing the name of the program. Now we'll call it Preview. And on occasion, we'll take our cameras on location. In fact, today we're at the Wyoming County Cultural Center at the Dietrich Theater in Tunkhannock. Well, we're inside now, on stage at the Dietrich Theater, and we've got two guests. One is a regular here on Electric City Television. Erica Rogler is the executive director here at the Dietrich. And Erica, your colleague?
Yes, this is Mary Turner. She's the Dietrich's Cultural Assistant Program Director. She makes sure that all of our classes and events happen at the Dietrich. Also, she's a supervisor and a projectionist.
So a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You have just come off a very busy holiday season with, of course, the downtown events.
Yes.
There was also the event I love to attend, the annual showing of It's a Wonderful Life. And how did those go over this year?
It's tremendous. Some people have been going to all of them. Some people, it's their first time experience, but there's nothing like seeing It's a Wonderful Life on the big screen.
Yeah.
We had over 600 folks come out for it.
Over 600?
Yes.
Wow, wow. And Mary, as we begin the new season, as it were, you begin in kind of a big way with a showing of a great motion picture. Tell us about that.
Well, on January 15th, we have a free showing of Marty at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. It's part of our Film Favorites series.
Okay, Marty, for those who don't remember, was an Academy Award-winning movie starring Ernest Borgnine. I think it really brought Borgnine into the classic eye. Of course, later he went on to be pretty well known for a TV series, McCahill's Navy, which ran for a couple of years. But that movie made him, and it did pretty well, as I recall.
It did, 4 Oscars, and the best thing about our Film Favorites, as Mary will tell you, is that
they are sponsored and they're free.
They're free to the public. So what a great treat. A Wonderful Life was free to the public. But the question then arises, they aren't really free in terms of cost to you to produce these things. So how do you do that?
We are very fortunate to have really great sponsors who sponsor the films.
So these are really kind of community organizations that care about the Dietrich, its goals, its place in the community, and they really handle the bill.
Absolutely. It's businesses, it's individuals. For March, we're showing The Quiet Man on the big screen on March 18th. And so both Marty and The Quiet Man are sponsored by individuals.
Okay.
So we invite you to see that as well.
The Quiet Man, of course, starring John Wayne, and once again, very, very Irish in its nature, in its theme. And perfect for St. Patrick's Day, which will be technically the day before the showing.
Yes, it's a favorite for that holiday, so we're excited to be showing it again on the big screen.
All right, now, the stage that we're on is one of 4 traditional movie auditoriums here at the Dietrich, so that they do show current movies. As a matter of fact, I think you were the first in the area to show The Irishman, which had very limited exposure in terms of in theater. And that is not the only thing that's done here. I think the point I want to make is that, and we've done that, we've talked about this before, Erica, that while you do show current movies, the goal, the thrust of the Cultural Center isn't to make money from showing movies, it's to use that money to promote cultural events.
That's right. So our mission from the very beginning, day one in 2001, was to use the funds from the movies to support cultural programming, classes, events, for all ages so that they can be exposed to nature, science, the arts, you name it. We try to do it here.
And I think you've done it pretty well so far. Mary, you just happen to have a big chart in front of you, and I'm thinking that there's probably a couple other events that are coming up. Share with us some of what's going to be happening as we look toward 2020.
Sure. We have a couple of really nice events, starting with Les Mis on January 19th. It's a theater production that was recorded and then we show live on screen.
So this is the kind of thing that normally, if you wanted to see this, you'd have to go to a place like New York City.
Correct.
Which, Erica, you've just come back from New York, I understand.
I have.
Little expensive?
It's expensive.
A lot of fun, but...
A lot of fun. So for the price of a burger in New York, you can see Les Mis, the Broadway theatrical value of it, right here at the Dietrich on screen.
Right. And Mary, what else is coming up?
We also have hiking through the natural beauty of PA.
Now, what is that all about? You're not actually going to go on a hike, are you?
No, it's actually a presentation about hiking through PA that's put on here.
We've done it for several years. It's with Jeff Mitchell. He's our Wyoming County DA, but a lot of folks don't know he's a hiking author, a very well-known hiking author. And so we call it armchair hiking for the day. So on February 8th at 11 a.m. you can join us, and he does a PowerPoint program of all of the natural beauty that he's experienced on different hikes throughout the region, and he encourages all of us to get out there and experience it for ourselves.
That's actually become a very, very popular pastime. Runners, of course, get involved in it often, but walkers more and more. And fortunately, our area is seeing the development of more and more old railroad trails, the railroad right-of-ways that have now become trails. And
like the trolley trail.
Exactly. And I think people would like to eventually get to the point where you could really start in New York State and hike south right through Pennsylvania. And there are a number of those trails right in our own environments here.
Right. One of our greatest resources in northeastern Pennsylvania is the natural beauty. And having listened to several of Jeff's talks, he'll explain that the beauty that's here and what the vistas and the waterfalls and the scenery is equivalent to that of any national park. Mm-hmm. So we just need to take advantage of what we have in our own backyard, and he gives you lots of pointers on different places to start hiking if it's a first for you.
Well, I guess we should ask, because there are some things that are presented here that because of materials involved or the people who are brought in to offer the deliveries, there is some charge involved, usually a very nominal charge. What about that one? The hiking one?
It's free.
That one is a free presentation.
Program. Absolutely.
Let's review the time and date for that again then.
It's February 8th at 11 a.m.
All right, and that again is free to the public. So this is the kind of thing that a cultural center should be doing, and it's great to have the pictures, and I enjoy coming here to see them. But you also want to promote events like this. And another one, and I'm not sure if it's on your list, but a few years ago, the center started having walking tours right through the community here for anybody who's driven through Tunkhannock on the main route, which is Route 6 and also 11. There are some homes in the area that are, I guess, right out of the Victorian area. Would that be a fair assessment?
They are. We have some great architecture from the Victorian period. It's quite a historic district, and considering there has been no zoning in Tunkhannock, the residents themselves have really kept the historical character of the community. And so a few years ago, we did a project with the Historical Society, the Endless Mountains Visitors Bureau, and Heritage Region to create a walking tour. You can pick up a brochure of the Dietrich. It features 40 structures, homes.
40
homes and businesses, or you can go to our app, dietrichtheater.com, and take the walking tour on your own. Past year, we added an audio component to the tour. So we have volunteer tour guides, and we've recorded their voices. And so you can drive through or walk through our community and take this tour yourself. It's about 2 hours and 2 miles.
Is that still on the schedule then?
Yes. So in May, we'll start tours up again. We do them in the warmer months.
Yeah.
But you can take it on your own. It's available on our website, and you can access it through your mobile phone, and just you can go through each site. There's a
wonderful.
map
Yeah.
that's interactive too.
That's wonderful. And I'm wondering if the theater itself is included on the tour.
We're stop number 1.
Well, there is a lot of history involved in this theater, which was, I guess, if we want to be blunt about it, was almost lost to the community.
It was, yeah. The theater opened in '37 by George Dietrich. The first weekend, it was a May weekend, 1,500 people came through, and it thrived for all those years.
And it was a single-screen theater at that time,
Single
yes?
screen, yes. And it thrived until the late 80s. And as we know, in the late 80s, the mall cineplexes became big.
Yeah.
And so the small town one screens had trouble surviving. And so the Dietrich closed at that time. But lucky for us, a group of concerned citizens got together, and when they were sitting around a kitchen table one day, they said, "We think the community would love to see the Dietrich come back." And they started a campaign to raise funds, and after 3 years and $1 million, they reopened the Dietrich, not as one screen, as 2 screens.
2. What we're in right now is part of the original single-screen auditorium, right?
Correct, and this was actually a vaudeville stage.
A vaudeville stage.
Back in the day, yes.
I guess I fit there, I suppose. I actually remember it. One of the last vestiges of vaudeville was at the old Feely Theater in Hazleton. Actually brought it back during the 60s for a while. Fortunately, it didn't last. Television had taken over those entertainment venues by then. Now, you converted the single screen into a double theater, and then eventually were able to expand again. There was at one time, as you came into Tunkhannock from the Wilkes-Barre area, there was a gas station on the corner, and you were able to take that over.
Correct, yes. After another fundraising effort sponsored by our community and businesses, we were able to expand from 2 to 4 screens in 2009. And that really made us a movie hub, a movie destination.
Right, in addition to all the cultural events.
Yes.
Sounds like a pretty rosy story up until then, with everything happening just in a positive fashion. Unfortunately, the theater along Route 6 is also fairly close to the Susquehanna River. And so a few years back, the river decided to pay a visit to the theater.
It did. It was the year of 2011, and actually where we're seating about a foot off the stage, that's where the water of the Susquehanna came to.
Oh, boy.
And so 300 volunteers came out. As you know, there's a lot of volunteerism in northeastern Pennsylvania. And they put this theater back together for us, and we are so grateful. So yeah, in the past decade, we've expanded, we've survived a flood. Then in 2013, we converted to digital projection. Right. We recently completed a sustainability campaign, and we keep growing our classes at the same time. And
that brings up another subject, classes, because not only do you have motion pictures and stage entertainment, but there are various educational opportunities available here as well. Mary, do you have any of those on your list by any chance?
Yeah, we actually offer classes for all ages, and we offer not only educational classes, but art classes and physical classes. We have, which is very popular, 2 different chair yoga classes.
That's very big right now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It has all the benefits of yoga, but from a seated position. Mm-hmm. So if you're a learner or doing yoga is a little harder, it's definitely a nice route to take.
Sure.
We also offer other yoga classes, the traditional yoga, and Nia, which is a little more.
That's a fun one. It's
Yeah.
a combination of dance, martial arts, and yoga.
Oh, gee.
So it's a great cardiovascular workout.
Yeah.
And like I said, we also do offer art classes. We have a range from pottery art classes to, we also have music for littles, all a bunch of different.
That sort of opens up another question as well. People who have been in the community for years obviously want to see the cultural center, i.e. the Dietrich, succeed. They want to have it preserved. They have their memories here,
They do.
but the children do not. The children, to them, it's a new thing, just as it was in the 30s for people who came here when it was originally a movie theater. So how important is it to you to get children involved in events at the Cultural Center through the Dietrich?
It's greatly important, especially since a lot of them might not be able to experience any art classes or musical classes elsewhere. So it's very important to us to be able to provide that, especially low cost or sometimes even free.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, Erica, volunteerism. When you talk about having 300 people come in here after a flood and do some very messy cleanup
Yes.
work, I'm sure, that is one example of the kind of commitment people have. How much do you depend on volunteers here, and in what ways?
Volunteers are integral to our operation at the Dietrich. Our assistant general manager is a volunteer, Margie Young, who you
Yes,
know.
yes.
She's retired, but she still volunteers at the Dietrich for us. We have gift bag volunteers that make all of those beautiful gift bags that are movie bags at Christmas time, and they come in year-round. We have people that work on mailing. We have Jim Rosengrant, and Greg Kissel, and Jim Hudock, who volunteer and do maintenance, theater maintenance for us. This is an old theater.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's always a maintenance issue. Just so many people. Some of our teachers are volunteers. My mom is a volunteer at the Dietrich, Ingrid Rogler. She teaches quilting for us. So, we couldn't do what we do without our volunteers.
I think it would probably be a safe assumption on my part that you would not turn away any new ones.
No, we always welcome volunteers. There's always a place for volunteers at the Dietrich, yes.
And you have things that, you have a separate room here, you and I took a look at before, for children's activities?
We do. We do music for littles in that space.
You mentioned that, Mary. What's Music for Littles?
It's a class for young children to experience and learn about music for the first time.
They come with their parents, they're exposed to different instruments, they learn different songs, and what's nice is that the parents or grandparents or caregivers they go to these classes with, they go home and sing these songs all week. It's like a nice bonding experience,
Yeah.
and for many it's their first experience in a classroom setting, and that's a free class. That class, as well as our Little People in Nature and all of our preschool art classes are free. We are committed to making sure that education starts before kindergarten at the Dietrich, and we want to make sure that every child is able to experience that here.
And have you had good response to those programs?
Oh, yes. We offer them year-round.
We do, yeah. So we have about 15 kids in Music for Littles. For our Little People in Nature, we run it for a month, and each week we get about 10 to 12 students and their parents, and they do different activities in Little People in Nature, which is in March, like plant lettuce. They learn about bats, they learn about bears and little insects. They learn about using their senses to explore nature. So
It's, as I said, I think it's wonderful that you get the kids involved with these kinds of things, because they're going to be the ones that have to support these efforts in the future.
Right. In fact, we love it. With our fundraising committee, we do different activities, and some of the moms on the fundraising committee bring their kids in and their grandkids in to help with our
There is,
fundraisers.
I often bring it up because I said I want to take part, and I never have done it yet, the radio players. You involved with that at all, Mary?
I actually am not.
But we just had our holiday show. It was great fun. We did a Burns and Allen show that I loved so much.
Now, this is a troupe of local folks that reenact old radio programs. Eric, I think you said they even dress in period costume when they can?
They do. They don't dress as their characters, but they dress as an actor would go into the studio to record from the 40s. So it's a fun time, and they do things like Fibber McGee and Molly, All in the Family.
These are old radio shows, Mary.
Yes.
You wouldn't remember these. Erica only knows them because she's seen them do the acts. I used to listen to them all the time. As a matter of fact, I think they probably inspired me to get involved in the media back in the day, way long time ago.
So theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind, and you know, that is so true. You can show a motion picture and have a haunted house depicted, and it may very well be scary, but the haunted house that I envision in my own mind, that's the haunted house that really puts the fear into you. So.
It's the power of storytelling. And
Absolutely.
In fact, we have a storytelling event coming up in March, just in time for St. Patty's Day for kids, that Mary can tell you a little
What's
bit
that
about.
It's called Leprechaun Lore.
Leprechaun lore?
Yeah, and storyteller Hal Pratt explains to you all the ways of a leprechaun and maybe even how to catch one.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it's March 14th. It's a fun morning of
March 14th. Time on that is
11 a.m.
11 a.m. Okay.
It's free.
Free. And if you catch leprechaun, there's a chance of getting the pot of gold.
That's right.
I know that part already.
And it's not just for the young, it's for the young at heart, too.
Absolutely. There's another thing I want to point out. I try to do it as often as I can every time we talk about the Dietrich, but the fact of the matter is the Dietrich is right in downtown Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania, which is in Wyoming County, hence Wyoming Cultural Center. However, our program gets into Lackawanna and Luzerne County, and I know that I've seen other people in the audience here for several of the things I've attended that are from the greater Scranton area, the greater Wilkes-Barre area. And so that while you're centered here, you're not limited here, nor are the programs limited to people in Tunkhannock or Wyoming County.
That's right. All of our programs are for everyone. In fact, some of our earliest programming we did in conjunction with the Everhart Museum.
Right.
We've still continued that partnership to this day. In April, we'll be having a class in conjunction with their exhibit called Artist in Bloom Minis. So they send up an educator from the museum, and we are able to offer free classes for kids here that further explore the topic of their exhibits in depth.
It's a great exploratory program specifically, and then generally that working agreement is so helpful for both because the resources of both can be combined and used to help everybody.
Exactly. And like you were saying, we do love to think of ourselves as a regional arts organization, especially for our film festivals. And we have our Winterfest coming up on February 21st. As we're talking, our film booker is finalizing the films as we speak, but Mary can tell you a little bit about Winterfest at the
Okay,
Dietrich.
and interestingly enough, this is one of the few theaters in the area that offers film festivals, and please note I say that in a plural form because it started with one festival, but the response was tremendous.
Yes, and it grew to 2, and not that long ago we actually expanded it to 4 festivals a year.
Wow. And how does that work? Because that's different. I mean, the Irishman is an example in a sense where you had an opportunity to incorporate that in a festival that people couldn't see elsewhere.
We are very fortunate. We have a great film buyer in New York, Jeffrey Jacobs, who worked for several independent movie theaters, like the Paris in New York. And so he has a real in on the art market in cinema. And he suggested us doing festivals in 2003 to kind of fill our slow period. So we started one in September. That did well, so we added a spring one. And then our patrons actually gave us the idea to do our winter and summer ones. They said, we want to see some adult content. during those times of year, so can you bring something in? And so we said, sure.
So Mary, you devote a certain number of auditoriums, for instance, to films that are just going to be shown for the festival.
So our film festival is typically shown in this theater that we're in right now.
Okay.
It is our largest theater. That's usually why we have it here. But during the day, we also show it in one other theater so we can show 2 movies at the same time.
I see.
Because we show roughly 21 movies in 21 days with multiple showtimes every day.
And these are, as we've already suggested, for the most part, these are movies that you're not really going to have a chance to see at those multiplex theaters in the area.
Yeah, usually our film festivals are full of independent, Oscar winners or nominees, and foreign films.
And we have an exciting event, a pre-event for Film Festival coming up the beginning of February. February 6th is preview day. Do you like trailers?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I love trailers.
Yeah.
And so we started a few years ago having preview day where our patrons would have an opportunity to view the 21 trailers associated with the 21 films.
So you get a taste of what is going to be in those movies.
Exactly. See what you're interested.
Yeah.
It's a free event. We have showings on that day at 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and there's discounted concession.
Yeah. Well, the previews are important because there would give you, again, a taste of what is going to come up. And I mean, some previews may, gee, I don't want anything to do with that one, but
Right.
Conversely, most of them kind of get your attention and say, oh, don't want to miss that.
They do. Usually when I go into preview day, I have about 10 films I want to see, and then when I leave preview day, I have about 16 that I want to see.
So the next festival begins when?
February 21st, and it goes through March 12th.
Okay.
So February 21st will also be our opening night gala.
And you're actually planning other events, I believe, into April and May at this point.
We do, yeah. We have a Tom Knight puppet show booked for April. We have our spring film festival booked. Lots of events going on. We have Wyoming County Reads coming up in February.
Wyoming County Reads, that's an important subject too. And for a quick review, generally that is where a community tries to get as many people as possible to read the same book or books. And then you try to get people together to discuss those books and get their take on it. And your take on a book may be different than mine.
Yes.
And when we sound it out, and every now and then there's a movie that you can tie with the books.
That's right. Since we're a movie theater, we said it should really just be one county, one book, one movie. Sometimes we do 2 of each.
Okay.
Though. So this year, we've chosen to focus on the author Ian McEwan and his 2 books, Atonement and On Chesil Beach. And then we'll be showing the movies in February for free at the Dietrich. February 12th will be Atonement. And On Chesil Beach will be February 26th at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. They're free. They both star Saoirse Ronan. So it's kind of interesting. 2 films by the same
and the
author.
books are widely available.
Yes.
Usually the libraries in the area cooperate on that.
Yes.
Get some extra copies in for people to be able to look them over. Wonderful schedule. I don't know if I'm missing anything you wanted to bring out.
Well, open mic. We would love to have
open
you
mic?
at open mic sometime. And Mary actually schedules all of our open mic for us.
I've been kidding them for years that I'll bring my harmonica up here, but that'd be a very short performance. I think I can do 1 song, perhaps 2. It's all by ear. So
Yeah, open mic starts in March, the 4th Friday in March, and our feature that month is Tony Leone, and he's a magician.
Okay, now how does open mic work? That's anybody that wants to perform?
So the way open mic works is for the first half of the night is open to the public for them to share their talents. And then the headliner, who will play at the end of the night,
March is Tony Leone.
Right, and when you talk about their talents, and I kidded about the harmonica, but actually that covers a wide range of possibilities, yes?
Yes.
Because I believe you've had poetry.
we've had poetry, songwriters, we've even had a puppet.
ventriloquism,
Ventriloquist, yes.
storytelling. So it runs the gamut, and it's exciting to see all the talent right here in our local community.
That's wonderful. Now, we've gone over a long list of things that are going to be happening, and I don't expect that all of you took notes. And so let's talk for just one closing moment about how anyone who's watching can get information about all of the events that are happening here.
Well, yeah, you can always visit our website at dietrichtheater.com, or you can stop by our theater and pick up one of our classes and events brochure that we put out.
Or just give us a call at 570-836-1022, extension 3. That's Mary. And she'll get you hooked up with a brochure of all of our classes and events.
Okay, let's go over that number once again.
It's 570-836-1022, extension 3.
All right, so many things happening here at the Wyoming Cultural Center, and the Dietrich Theater is the headquarters. I thank both of you, Erica and Mary, for joining us today on I guess what is technically the first edition of what we're calling Preview. And what a better place to have an opening for a preview than a movie theater. I'm David DeCosmo. Until we see you again next time, here's hoping all your news is good.